But
so
no, like,
the job, I suppose, not the job of the sequels is to get rid of how horrible the last ones were.
Yeah, we don't talk about those.
So 10 years ago we had Revenge of the Sith, and it kind of left everyone in a bit of a bum note.
Mm-hmm.
Because, in 1999, everyone went into Phantom Menace being like, yes, more Star Wars. And we all kind of know what happened. I mean, I guess there are people out there who did like the prequels, but I've not met many.
Episode 3 is pretty good.
Okay,
Ryan's
fine with Episode 3.
I like Episode 3. It's solid. It's a good 7 out of 10.
So when it was announced in 2012 that it was coming back, there was hype, but there was a certain amount of hesitation as well. It's Disney.
Yeah.
And then shortly after that, Abrams. Not everyone's a fan of Abrams. I think he's kind of got mostly everyone on side because of Star Trek, but people were certainly hesitant about that as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't even know where to begin.
Well, first thing, the Disney logo didn't pop up.
It didn't.
It
no.
did not. That's the first
straight
time.
Straight to Lucasfilm. Even though Lucas kind of isn't really a big part of it. If you didn't see, obviously George Lucas pulled out quite early on over creative differences. What kind of film would it have been if he'd stayed on board?
Darth Jar Jar.
Not a good one.
Darth Jar Jar.
Because what he has done to the prequels, I have lost entire faith in him. And what he's done to the originals has slain me. So
What, you don't think Darth Vader screaming no as he pushes the Emperor over the balcony adds anything?
tell me
You don't think putting Hayden Christensen and the ghost scene at the end of Return of the Jedi makes it 1,000 times better?
Oh, the dance scene.
Yeah.
Oh god.
So no spoilers. Of course, we wouldn't dream of doing that, but it does mean we have to be very careful.
Oh, we're going to have to be really big.
But I think we've decided we are going to do a spoiler talk on our Mixcloud page, mixcloud.com/LRJ Film Show. We know that there are people out there who have not seen it yet, who are at work, who haven't had the time, who maybe don't have the money. If you've seen it, we will be spoiling it, but of course you'll have seen it, so it's all fine.
Yeah.
If you have seen it and you want to get in touch with us, obviously we can't read them out on the show because it's pre-recorded, but certainly we can enter a bit of debate on Twitter. Maybe we'll get back to you. Hashtag Spark Film Show. You can tweet at us, LRJ Film Show. Head to the Facebook page, although no, don't tweet us with any spoilers. Tweet us saying what you thought.
Mm-hmm.
We don't want to hear any spoilers because of course that is all out in public. We don't want any of that. I suppose you could message us. You could direct message us on Twitter. That'd be fine. Just don't put it out there on Twitter. It's a responsibility thing. We're all a community. We all have films. Don't do it.
Be responsible.
Right.
This has been a public service announcement.
I think we have to. I mean, there's a lot of things I want to say for public service announcements. Certainly, if you're going to see it, loud food. No. Cheering. Are we allowing cheering? Certainly, we didn't have any in our screening today.
But cheering was for the midnight screenings.
Yeah.
If it's a huge screen and it's a fun thing, and fair dues. But if it's not,
we didn't have any.
Nah,
because
it was just normal.
Yeah.
So
go to the toilet before it starts, please.
Yeah.
There's nothing worse than having somebody pass in front of you over crucial parts. A part that I thought I'd missed in the film, like something that happened in the film. I was like, did I hear that right, or was I distracted by that person going to the toilet like half an hour in?
And the usual,
really, people?
The usual, don't talk and don't get your phone out.
Yeah.
God.
I don't think anybody got their phone out.
I saw it.
Really?
I saw it too.
Why were they there? I don't know.
Some people just hate. Want to see the world burn?
I want to watch the world burn. I knew it was going to get that happen. Right. Let's review it then. Let's get straight into it. We've spent long enough. Oh my word.
I really don't know where to start, to be honest, because
it's difficult. I don't even want to give away the plot. I mean, anybody who hasn't seen it is going into it just as blind as people like us who just got what we got from the trailer.
I'll start on a bit of an outsider's note. So basically, if you don't know Star Wars, it's the basic fight of good versus evil. They've got the Jedi, who are the ones who want to keep the peace in the galaxy, and then you've got the Sith and the dark side, who are the bad guys and who generally want to cause chaos and have complete control over the galaxy. It's the classic story of good versus evil. George Lucas's classic Star Wars saga was influenced by tons of people like Kurosawa and all sorts of Western sort of influences as well. It was a great hodgepodge of old influences and brilliant new ideas, and that's why it's become such a classic and so beloved. And now here we are, 30 years after the Return of the Jedi in 1983, now 2015, and we've got a brand new film, and I don't think anybody who was around then thought they would ever see people like Han Solo or Princess Leia ever again. But now they have got to see them again, because that's probably the most magic thing, because you get to see these people back again in a completely new direction. So obviously story-wise, we are now 30 years after Return of the Jedi. The Empire have fallen after the Battle of Endor. There was a battle on Jakku, which was the final battle between the Rebellion and the Empire, and that is where our new characters, we will meet them, but I'll get to that. So it's 30 years after the final battle. We're now following the First Order, who are the remnants, I guess that's the best way to put it, of the Empire, who have been sort of, they've picked up where they've left off. The Stormtroopers are still around. They've still got all the Star Destroyers, all the equipment. They have sort of replaced them. They're hiding out in sort of a dark sector with their brand new evil plans, and we've got the Republic who are now in charge and have a full Senate, and the Resistance, who are the people who are taking the fight to the First Order 30 years in the future. And on the planet Jakku, that is where we meet our heroes, where we've got new Daisy Ridley's character Rey, or Rye.
Rey.
She keeps changing how to pronounce it. So Rey.
It's Rey, the whole thing.
It's Rey.
Yep.
It's Rey. Right,
Great
so,
start.
What?
It's Rey.
Well, Rey,
It is
yeah,
Rey.
Rey. So she's a scavenger on the planet Jakku, and she is basically hiding out because her family left her when she was a very small child. So he is basically surviving and just doing whatever she can to live. She's finding trash and taking debris off the fallen debris and fallen Star Destroyers from the Battle of Jakku. She's taking them and getting food and just living her life in the ruins of a crashed walker, which was a nice bit of fancy.
Yeah.
Like that. That's no spoiler to say. That was really cool. And she finds a droid called BB-8, which is a brilliant thing, which I'll get to.
Which everybody's seen by now.
Everyone. I know, but I'll get to why it's so good.
Everyone's fallen in love with BB-8 before the film even came out.
And BB-8 has data which might lead to the location of Luke Skywalker, who has gone missing in the years since Return of the Jedi, and that's where the story goes.
That's it. That's all.
That's kind of all we can say.
That's it. Nothing else. Don't say anything else.
No, I don't want to say. Well, I mean, there are things which have already been said. We know that the other two characters, we have Poe Dameron, played by Oscar Isaac. He is a Resistance pilot. He's the best Resistance pilot, essentially. He is the owner of BB-8, and in the beginning, things happen, and BB-8 gets separated from Oscar Isaac, and that's how the bot rules upon Daisy Ridley's character, and things lead to things. And see how hard this is.
Yeah.
It's like to spoil anything ruins the experience, and that's why I'm dancing around so much, because you've got to be so careful. And John Boyega's character Finn is a stormtrooper, and for reasons, he doesn't want to be a stormtrooper anymore and wants to help people survive and thrive and destroy the First Order because he's seen what they can do. I really don't want to get into. We'll talk about the individual pieces because we can't really get into the story. Daisy Ridley, fantastic.
Yeah.
Absolutely incredible. I mean, John Williams is back, obviously, because John Williams is Star Wars in a lot of senses, because without the Star Wars music, Star Wars would be a lot lesser than the sum of its parts. It is a massive part of the Star Wars brand and the Star Wars image and the icon. And he has created some really, really great new tracks this time, some great reworkings of classics, and I think he's done a great job. There's nothing sort of iconic off the bat, but when you've created the Star Wars theme, you've got nothing to prove, and when you've got like things like the Duel of the Fates, which isn't back this time, sadly, but that was like the best part of the prequels. So you've got a license to do it. You want to experiment a little bit. There's some great stuff in there. It's all classic Star Wars music. It's great to hear. And Daisy Ridley's theme just complements her character perfectly, because Rey she's resourceful. She's excitable, she's got that twinkle in the eye that, is just every Star Wars fan out there who wants to discover this galaxy, She is the fresh pair of eyes, essentially. She is us looking on this galaxy and what's changed, what's different from Return of the Jedi.
I love how excitable she is.
Exactly, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And they make a point straight off the bat that she doesn't need help. There is a scene with a character where this character tries to take Rey's hand to help her and sort of take her away from the danger. It's like, no, you don't need to hold my hand. I can run myself. I'm not a damsel in distress. I'm very resourceful. And she makes clear that she's a capable fighter with a staff, which has been seen in the trailers. That's really cool. She's extremely resourceful. She's a scavenger. She's extremely good at what she does, and it's a great character to have. And considering that the main character in the originals, the main female character in the originals, Princess Leia, while still being a great character of her own, was often the damsel in distress, and that did sometimes lead to a few, pigeonholing, essentially. And Daisy Ridley is a lot more capable, and is a really, really, really good female role model for young viewers. She's really, really strong female character, and not just in the lowest base sense of the word. She's actually strong and developed and multifaceted, and it's really, really good to see. She was probably my favourite part of the cast. I really, really enjoyed seeing her every time, and there's mystery, and obviously we don't really know things about her character. There's really been nothing major said about this film, but you learn things, you don't learn other things, but it's always a treat finding out and trying to figure out or guessing in your head while you're watching what's going on with her character. And likewise with John Boyega's character, who also very good. A good American accent, I will say that, because obviously he is naturally English, and so is Daisy Ridley, but she keeps her English accent. John Boyega's character, he is good, and because being a stormtrooper and not wanting to be a stormtrooper, God, this is hard, but it is good because you see the conflict within him. You know, you see the fact that he is conflicted in what he wants to do, and you see the fight going on in his head, and he's really good. He gets some good humour, and there's some really good lines, and his chemistry with Rey is really, really good. It feels like a proper friendship. There is sort of romance elements in it, but it's not like overshadowing at all. You know, there's maybe one or two moments in that in the film. There's nothing major. This is basically two friends.
It's not Han and Leia.
Yeah, it's not Han and Leia.
No.
It's two friends trying to, save the galaxy, essentially. And then we've got Poe Dameron, Oscar Isaac, who was fantastic. You know, he's basically the fighter pilot. I mean, in the originals, we had Wedge Antilles, who was the best rebel pilot in that ones. But now you've got Poe Dameron, who is basically the hybrid of Han Solo and every other sort of cocky, roguish, I can do everything character you can imagine in cinema history. He is really, really good. He gets so many good lines.
Is Oscar Isaac the coolest person in the world?
Yeah, I think he is, like, legitimately.
As I told you guys this, and I put it on Twitter as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yesterday I dreamt that Oscar Isaac was my friend, and he was at Pan's Bank, the halls of residence in Sunderland where I live, and we were going through the gate together. He was my friend. He's like, oh, hey man, I can come on your show tomorrow if you want. I was like, oh, you do that, like, in person on the phone? He's like, I'll do it on the phone. I was like, oh, that's really cool, great.
Random dreams.
Imagine how disappointed I was to wake up and that wasn't a thing. But I'm telling you now, it has inspired me, and I think in 2016 we are going to get on the phone, make a few calls, and my mission for next year is to get Oscar Isaac on this show.
I mean, as a character, he's headstrong and he's brilliant at everything that he does. You know, you can see him. He's going to be a great force for the movies that come up, and
Force.
I really do think that.
Force, sorry.
Thanks, Liam. But
use it, man. Use it.
There's so much I want to say, but you've got to experience these, like, how these three characters develop, because they are the three characters, the main characters of the film. It's no spoiler to say that, apart from the original trilogy characters. Then we move on from that, and we've got people like BB-8, which is the robot. We all seen it in the trailers. And I was just surprised at how much charisma it had.
Yeah.
It has almost as much charisma as R2 had in the originals. It's got so much brilliant little tricks up its sleeve. It's a practical robot, as you've seen, and you'll instantly want to buy one when you see it.
Well, I certainly want one.
Yeah,
we've learned today that it was voice consulted by Bill Hader and Ben Schwartz. Which I think shows.
I did not know that. That's a really good tidbit.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I mean, it shows the chemistry that they've brought to him, and they've actually given him personality to a robot who doesn't speak.
No.
They've actually given him physical personality. And then we've got, obviously, Carrie Fisher and Harrison Ford back. They do what you expect, basically. They're weathered now. They're a bit older. Han's become, he's settled down a little. He's not exactly the dashing rogue that he used to be, but he's still the best shot. He's still the best pilot.
Silver Fox.
Yeah, he's still got that wink in his eye. He's brilliant. And Chewie's back as well. It's just it's so much nostalgia, and obviously God knows how the people who watched this when it came out feel, because it's just great to see them back. And the first time they come back on screen, I won't spoil how it happens, but it's glorious. It's really good to see them back on screen, and just it's great to see them doing what they do best. And even though they are a bit older, they still got plenty of chances to show that yes, they are exactly the same characters they were 30 years ago, and they can still capably play them. Then on the other side, we've got the Kylo Ren, who is the new bad guy of the series, and he's, what's the best way I can say it? Just, I'll do a phrase. He's totally and incomparably badass in every single way that I can imagine.
Pretty much.
Like, I mean, we knew he was going to be badass from the first trailer, where he lights the saber in the forest in the snow. And it's even better than that. Like, every second he is on screen, he is imposing, he's villainous.
Okay.
Yeah, Joe's taking a bit of a shine into Kylo.
What would you rather have, okay?
Right.
Darth Maul's dual lightsaber or Kylo Ren's sword lightsaber?
That's like asking to pick a favourite child.
Kylo.
I like Kylo.
I've got a soft spot for the twirling of Darth Maul, so
know,
it's so badass.
they're so cool.
We've been sitting here before recording the show and looking at the sabers you can buy.
Yeah.
What do you think's the best ignition as well? Like, because you've got the dual wheeled one with like one side, and then you've got the Kylo Ren. This is such fanboying.
It's the way it goes.
Yeah.
Vroom,
It's brilliant.
Vroom,
Yeah.
vroom.
Yeah.
They're both amazing lightsabers. They're both great designs. But yeah, I mean, it's exactly what you want. He's a conflicted character, but there's so much we can't see about him. But he's incredibly villainous. He more than fills in the villain void for the series in this film.
Incredibly intimidating.
Yeah, brilliantly intimidating. Some great scenes. Adam Driver does really good job. You know, it's really, really imposing.
I never doubted him.
I never doubted him. But he's got so many good scenes. He's got the rage. He's got the angst. Really does have a lot of angst.
A lot of rage.
Like, a lot of rage.
And a lot of angst.
Yeah, and you'll get to see that play out on screen. And you've got Domhnall Gleeson, who I wasn't expecting to be in this too much, but he does get plenty to do as this. He's the general of the First Order, and he's basically he's the one in charge, and he knows it because he's got the cocksure glint in his eye, and he knows exactly how to order everyone about. And he's basically, I mean, he's focused, and he's just wants to get everything done basically, and he's really good villain. He's spitting when he's on screen.
Very campy.
Good
rage and campy.
Good contrast with Kylo Ren as well. Very interesting.
Yeah. It's a really good. It's a really good bond. You know, it's
interesting seeing them side by side.
Yeah.
There's some really nice shots there.
Yeah, you've got the sort of the militaristic one in Domhnall Gleeson, and you've got the Force influence. You know, more like I guess it's
the
sort
loose
of
cannon.
The loose cannon in Kylo Ren, and it's great to see that because the Star Wars series thrives on that good contrast. And if you don't have the characters to do that, and that's what the prequels did wrong. They killed off Darth Maul immediately in the first one, then they killed off Count Dooku like straight away in the number 3 before bringing in General Grievous for like 5 minutes. They need to have a relationship that can develop, and that's what this series looks like it might do now. And see, so much I can't get into.
So much you
without
can't
spoiling
say.
it.
No.
But I will admit, and this is where this review is going to sort of peel off a little bit, because I don't know if I like the film in itself or not yet, because for every brilliant practical effect that was like, that's classic Star Wars, for every music cue that I was like, that's classic Star Wars, for every brilliant written line of dialogue that George Lucas couldn't write in the prequels, I didn't feel the plot. Like I was just sitting there, and for every moment that I could feel myself getting frisson, you know, like getting the chills, and every moment that, you know, my jaw was dropping, and like you could feel the excitement and the emotion and the intensity. I was just like, am I engaging with this plot, or am I just engaging with the character beats?
I'm interjecting at this point, and this is an edit. I'm saying here, I wouldn't normally do this. We've just been talking there, and I inadvertently spoiled it. So of course that's been cut out. That just shows how difficult it is. I said it was a doozy. It was a big one.
It was a really big one. Well, it wasn't massive, but it was still a big indication.
If you can link the dots, if you can connect up what I said, then you'd. So I apologise if I haven't to say this. Ryan, you can continue with what you're saying.
I don't know, because see, I did feel like deep down I loved it, and I'm probably going to wake up tomorrow and think, you know what, that was probably one of the best cinema experiences I've had this year and in a long, long time. And I feel like I don't know, because I listen to the show back tomorrow, and I'm probably going to regret seeing these things, and that's why it's probably good that we'll come back to this in the near future, probably a new year, because then I can say, well, Ryan of December was extremely wrong.
And let's face it, we're off for a few weeks. We could see it a few more times.
We've got to have initial reactions, because we came straight from the show, from the film, to give you the streamed reaction straight away. And I just feel for every brilliant emotional beat and for every fantastic callback that wasn't forced.
Nope.
That's the most thing to say. It wasn't forced nostalgia like Jurassic World was at times, and Terminator did way too much. But I just don't know. I don't feel I engaged with it as much as I should have, and that for me is the most sad part, because of things that happened, and I can't see it. So listen to the spoiler talk, and we'll get into that.
Right. So if you want to listen to the spoiler talk, mixcloud.com/LRJ Film Show. Right now, it's up.
I feel even worse now, because I can't say why I didn't like it, because I can't say why I didn't like it.
But you will be able to say it on the spoiler talk.
Yeah.
If you've seen it, that's where you need to go. Mixcloud.com/LRJ Film Show. So Ryan was a bit lukewarm. Joe.
I loved it. I really enjoyed it.
That's a relief to me.
For the first time in a very long time, in the cinema, a film has just flowed. There's not been one moment where I've had a thought, or really, or maybe, nah, maybe not, or anything like that. It just went by, and then it finished, and man, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was fantastic. And the thing about the plot beats is, I probably, when we do the spoiler talk, if I'm in it, if I've got time, I will probably agree with you, but I just don't care. To be honest, it doesn't at us anymore. I mean, it happened with the original trilogy. There's bits where like drags, and
Yeah.
certain plot things like are a bit but the emotional beats are always there and it hits you, and this one did it just the same, and it felt old school, and I loved it. And like I said before, I'm getting a Kylo Ren lightsaber.
Just because I look back,
they're pretty bad.
and it's looking like Empire Strikes Back, which is a perfectly symmetrical
And
film, and it's perfectly plotted, and I just feel like this didn't have that.
It's probably gonna be in my top 3 Star Wars. I think it's better than Return of the Jedi.
Oh yeah, I can't disagree with that.
We watched Return of the Jedi last night.
I think
This
it's
was far
far
better than
better.
Return of the Jedi.
Return of the Jedi probably still has the best lightsaber duel.
Yeah, but there's so many
yeah.
many complaints that you have for the Ewoks and the.
But as well, this is not a spoiler, but for the Force Awakens, yeah, this is gonna be up there for some of the best lightsaber fights. Yeah, I loved it.
Well, if you weren't expecting lightsaber fights, that is a spoiler.
Right. So, for me, I watched Star Wars for the first time. I think it was about 10 years ago when Revenge of the Sith came out. My dad showed me the original trilogy. He didn't show me the prequels, which I think is wise. And that really got me invested. I really enjoyed it. I haven't watched them since. That's the crucial thing. So when it was announced, I was hesitant, as everybody was. Trailer started coming out, and when I saw that first proper trailer, I did cry. And basically every single time since that I've watched that trailer, even last night watching it before coming to see the film, I still got a bit of a lump in the throat. So today the task was to try and hold back the uncontrollable urge to just burst out in tears. And I thought it would be at the start, and it wasn't. It was kind of just more of a grin that lasted for the whole film. Obviously there's bits where you don't grin because of what happens in the story, but for the majority of the film it was a grin. Second half of the film, I just lost it. I completely broke down. I spent the entire film like just broken and just drained and shattered, but in the best possible way.
Yeah, you said when you finished it, you were exhausted.
We came out and I was like, I'll see you in a minute. And I went to the toilet. I got some like tissues in case. It was like, but there's no shame in it. That's the thing. Everybody's kind of in the same boat. I think if you didn't feel didn't feel the emotion, you just I don't know.
I've had friends that say earlier they genuinely cried.
Yeah,
genuinely, like they'll cry. I mean, there is some jaw-dropping moments in it.
Yeah,
like,
I mean,
it really is. Like,
I got suckered a few times. I mean, it just comes out of absolutely nowhere. Some of the things that happen, and it just feels so satisfying that it's all been worth it. The wait, the build-up, the hype. I'm just so glad it hasn't disappointed, and for exactly the same reasons. I think Daisy Ridley is a fantastic addition to the cast. I think for a first-time film actor, she's crushed it.
I think all the newcomers were fantastic.
Adam Driver's got hell of a menace about him. I mean, I've seen him in a lot of roles, a lot of different roles. This is kind of the first bad guy role I've seen him in, and it's like.
And you've got to give props to JJ. I mean,
we haven't given props to JJ yet. I mean, to put this kind of film together without the lens flares that we all thought he was going to get slated for, to put this kind of cast together, making some brave decisions. I think he's knocked out the park, and I'm really excited to see what Rian Johnson does for 8, what Colin Trevorrow for 9, the spin-offs. I mean, it's an exciting time. It's not the end; it's just the beginning.
And for everything I didn't like that I can't say until the spoiler talk, it felt like Star Wars. It felt like something that hasn't happened for 30 years.
It felt like proper traditional Star Wars. I mean, there's some CG things that we've all said that don't quite mix in, but I think. I mean, it's excusable because I think everything else is perfect.
It doesn't any little things like that. It doesn't detract.
We're gonna see it again.
Oh yeah, hands down.
We saw this
IMAX.
in 2D.
IMAX.
We will probably go see this in IMAX 3D. I will definitely see it again.
Yeah. We're seeing it again. It's fine.
Question: is it a recommend?
You would be a fool to miss it.
You'd be a fool.
Even if I hated it, I would say yes, see it, because it's a cinematic event.
Yeah,
like it is an event. You have to be there.
Every now and then a film comes along where you just everybody watches it and you need to go see it too. So you might as well. Even if you haven't seen all the Star Wars, get them watched. Then go and see it.
Get them watch, people.
Get it watched.
If you don't like Star Wars, just don't take it away from us because we're loving it. Basically.
Yep. Star Wars. Actual Star Wars.
It's surreal. It really is surreal that I woke up this morning and I was like, I'm gonna go see Star Wars today in the cinema. A new Star Wars.
This is our Star Wars. I mean, the prequels they don't count. They were childhood Star Wars.
No.
That didn't. Even them were like a bit meh.
I've discounted them. Literally, as soon as you sit down in that seat today, they're gone.
A second childhood. There we go.
Episode 4 was today. There you go.
Ooh. So what? The ordering's messed up again.
Yeah.
Oh god.
Yeah.
But yeah, highly recommend it.
Highly recommend it. Ryan, even though you've got qualms.
Obviously recommend.